Hey everyone. I wanted to point out something that I've noticed over the last couple of weeks, and actually, I th- it didn't dawn on me at the time of uh, what might be causing this. I've noticed that the Notorious gear, as well as even sometimes I'll sell some Sinister gear still, and I imagine it's just people wanting the transmog because it's probably, you could have probably bought this item um, a lot cheap. If you wanted an upgrade, it would probably have been easier to buy the Notorious gear. So I imagine people are still buying the transmog of the Sinister and the Honorable stuff. But it dawned on me that we just had this Alterac Valley event where people were using it to level a lot of their characters to a lot of them to level 120, and then they would go and because I did exactly the same thing, and I'm thinking it's like, well, hey, now that I'm 120, I've got just heirloom gear. I've got all this crappy gear that was fine in Alterac Valley because it's level 60, but now I'm 120 and I have no gear whatsoever. So I'm going to hit the auction house and see what I can buy, so that I'm at least somewhat geared up to do the current content, or at least raid finder or something like that. So what's been happening is I've been having every day I've been selling lots and lots of Notorious gear. So that would be something that you'd want to, in the next maybe week or so, it's probably a good idea to put maybe one or two items of it. Maybe you make one and keep one in your bags, so once you sell one, then you can put one back up later in the day. But up until the 8.3 release, so once 8.3 releases, then odds are there'll be lots of gear catch-ups and stuff like that. So people will not be looking to get this gear quite as much, and there'll be, I guess I looked it up. I think it's item level 400 is the next combatant's gear, basically. So a lot of people will be buying that instead. But they'll still some people will be buying this stuff because either the newer stuff is too expensive, or they just want to fill in one little spot that they're still missing some maybe an item level upgrade on. So it'll still probably sell, but maybe not as much. So, but I noticed that I'm selling some every day here over the last 30 days. So here there was a kind of a just a tiny gap there, but maybe if I go out a little more, so at 60 days, you can see maybe I don't know. I guess it's maybe a little bit subjective, but it didn't feel like I was selling that many. But instead of like selling 10 a day, maybe I was like selling 3 or 4 a day. But but that event really kind of helped out getting this market moving. But I don't think it's going to continue for a while. I don't think, at least the Notorious gear. So the new gear that comes out will probably be a much better seller. So anyway, I've gone on way too long. But there was one other thing I wanted to point out. So, I've been farming some instances, and I've got an add-on called, I think it's, let me just look here. So it's called, it's not scrap, it's, no, yeah, actually it is called scrap. So that add-on, what it does is, the way I use it is I tell what items I want to, what I want to scrap. So I want to sell. So if I drag this over, it'll mark it as junk, and that was just irritating me. It's like, what, I want to be able to just hit a button to mark it as junk, and then just click that one button to do it. And I guess I had I have another add-on in there, and if you go to add-ons here, it's like, okay, well, hey, I want to scrap an item, and I think the problem is you've got an add-on called, well, I have an add-on called Easy Scrap, and there's another add-on, the one that I'm using is called Scrap. So you can create a keybind. So I use I. You can use whatever you want um, to toggle an item under the cursor. So if you have your if you've gone through an instance and you want to sell all the soulbind stuff, you can just click. I just click the I button while I'm hovering over that, and it'll mark them all as junk. And so that's saving me a whole lot of trouble, and I don't know why I couldn't figure that out earlier. But there's also some other things that I've noticed that can be helpful. So you've gone through an instance, and I should probably do that with one, but you can do type in soulbound. You can see all the soulbound items, or what happens is they either have the soulbound in the item description, or it, like in this case, it says, hey, if you uh, use this, it'll make the item become soulbound. So if you want to find all the stuff, so if you're like me, you've got tons of stuff in your bags already, and it's like, okay, well, where did it put this stuff? You can type in Raid Finder, and if you've done Raid Finder, or if you've done Heroic, or if you've done Soulbound, or there's lots of other things, if you want to look at just the mail items or the plate items. So there's lots of little things, and that kind of make things, finding your stuff in the bags, a lot easier. And there's other add-ons you can probably use that make this even better. So, but I've noticed a couple people didn't realize that, so I just wanted to point it out. So anyway, y'all have a good day. Thanks.